Accuracy. Manuscript analysis has left us with over 99% accuracy to the original texts. Historicity. Places and events are where they should be. Corroborated. External sources tell us that people, events, traditions, battles, miracles and uprisings have taken place. Tradition. Hebrew tradition. Eastern Orthodox, Romish traditions validate the claims in the Bible. I stand with all of this information before me validating the non-supernatural elements of the Bible with better quality than any other ancient text known to man. I by faith, have put my trust in the supernatural elements. If it smells like a duck, quacks like a duck, feels like a duck and someone else tells me it's a duck, then still without seeing it myself I can believe it's a duck. Now your turn. Start with Great Flood evidences, make sure they're in the right time period.
Thank you. I agree with your assessment, with the exception that we cannot compare our current Bible with the original texts, since we do not have the original texts. Great Flood evidences, if there had been a great flood as the scriptures teach, which killed all but 8 people, then one would expect to find stories of such a flood in various cultures around the world, since the cultures of the world would all be descended from Noah. And that is just what we do find. We find it in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written manuscripts yet discovered. The hearts of the great gods moved them to inflict the flood. Tear down the house and build a boat. Abandon wealth and seek living beings. Tablet 11. And in the arid Genesis, by our hand a flood will sweep over the cities, that mankind is to be destroyed. And in many ancient religions and cultures, including notably many American and island cultures. We also have fossil evidence, 50 kilometers north of Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. Scientists found layers of pink sandstone containing plant and animal fossils that were deposited when the Tifus Sea periodically flooded the region. I learned of the cultural prevalence of flood stories in my elementary English and social studies classes. And the aquatic fossils in mountain regions in my 7th grade geology class. There it was used to support tectonic drift. Speaking of tectonic drift, it's prudent to note that the notion of a supercontinent was set forth in the Bible long before science discovered the jigsaw nature of our current continents. In my geology class we put the contents together like a puzzle. The next week at church I learned about Peleg. And unto Eber were born 2 sons, the name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Genesis 10:25.
Alright, Cave of Lehi, this one should be good.
Cave of Lehi, Khirbet Beit Leh. Khirbet Beit Leh means ruins of the house of Leh. It gets its name from the Bedouin claim that a prophet named Leh, possibly a corruption of Lehi, used to live there. It was unearthed by road construction. Inside is a burial tomb, where was found 3 inscriptions and several drawings. One inscription is considered a plea for the deliverance of Jerusalem from some invader. Another constitutes a plea to be spared from guilt or punishment. The third takes the form of a prophetic oracle in which Yahweh Jehovah speaks in the first person, and in poetic form. The first person speaking for God, in Jewish culture indicates a prophet. This prophet was likely not Lehi, as there were pictures of boats sketched on the wall, and though Lehi and his family did sail on boats at the time they left Jerusalem, they did not know they would be doing so. But this is evidence that there were other prophets who preached the destruction of Jerusalem, and fled before captivity. The sketches were dated around 600 BC, the original ruins are older, which fits with the Book of Mormon's time frame for the Babylonian captivity. In America, archaeologists discovered a stone carving which seems to depict Lehi telling a Nepi recording his vision of the tree of life as found in 1 Nepi 8. Above the teaching patriarchal figure in the stone, is the name Glyph in the shape of a jawbone, the Hebrew word for which is Lehi.
What about Christ in America? Quetzalcoatl, the lizard.
Quetzalcoatl means not lizard, but feathered serpent. Quetzalcoatl was not believed to look like an actual flying serpent, the name was symbolic. The wings signified power, while the serpent, a being who crawls on its belly, signified humility and service. Quetzalcoatl was believed to be a powerful god who condescended to serve mortals. Quetzalcoatl is also known as the Great White God. This was who Cortez was mistaken to be upon his arrival to South America, a mistake he used to exploit the Aztecs. What other powerful yet humble Great White God do you know of whose return is anticipated? I know of one, Jesus Christ. The Aztecs were looking for the return of Christ, though centuries of apostasy had tarnished and corrupted their image of him. This, by the way, was not the first time the serpent has been used to symbolize Christ. And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass, that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole, and it came to pass, that if the serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Numbers 21 to 8 to 9. This event was literal symbolism of Jesus Christ who was lifted up, upon whom if we look we may live.
And the unprecedented word of wisdom medical value, prove it's unprecedented.
The word of wisdom was received on February 27, 1833. It warns against the use of tobacco. Since its discovery, tobacco has been both embraced as a cash crop and hated as frankly smelly and gross. It was from the question of whether or not tobacco was okay that the rest of the revelation was received. As a consequence of the early brethren using tobacco in their meetings, the prophet was led to ponder upon the matter. Consequently he inquired of the Lord concerning it. This revelation, known as the word of wisdom, was the result. Doctrine and Covenants 89 heading. Still outright acceptance of tobacco as bad for you was only very recent. In 1912, American Dr. Isaac Adler was the first to strongly suggest that lung cancer is related to smoking. In 1964, the United States Surgeon General's report on smoking and health led millions of American smokers to quit. It proscribes the use of alcohol. In the 6th grade I participated in the DARE program and was told a story about a man who had been shot, and the unique healing of his wound allowed a doctor to see inside his stomach and conduct several experiments. This, the instructor taught, was the first indications medical science had that alcohol physically harmed the body. That man was a Canadian named Alexis St. Martin, and the experiments were conducted by one Dr. Beaumont between the years of 1822 and 1833, but they were not published until 1838. Whether or not alcohol was good for you continued to be debated after both the experiments and the word of wisdom. It wasn't until the mid-1970s that medicine began to begrudgingly accept alcohol as a contributing factor to liver disease. In a classic experiment in 1974, Dr. Lieber and a team of researchers reported that alcohol was toxic to the liver of baboons who had been fed the equivalent of a fifth of liquor every day for up to 4 years. The findings upset conventional medical belief that cirrhosis was due to the poor nutrition commonly linked to alcoholism, not alcohol. In Boston, Dr. Lieber was intrigued by the lack of a satisfactory explanation of how alcohol caused liver disease. The prevailing dogma at the time was that liver disease seen in alcoholics resulted from malnutrition and not the toxicity of alcohol. The co-discoverer of insulin, Dr. Charles H. Best, citing his rat studies, contended that alcohol was no more toxic than sugar water. In Ireland you will still find prevalent signs which say, despite modern medical knowledge, Guinness is good for you. Then there is the food pyramid. In the 3rd grade, after learning about the word of wisdom in Sunday school, we were studying health in public school and we were taught about the brand new food pyramid the leading nutritionists of our day had designed. On the bottom of the food pyramid, grains. Grains, we were taught, should be the base of our diet. All grain is ordained for the use of men and of beasts, to be the staff of life. DNC 89-14. After grains, next in importance was fresh fruits and vegetables. The word of wisdom agrees, and again, verily I say unto you, all wholesome herbs God hath ordained for the constitution, nature, and use of man, every herb in the season thereof, and every fruit in the season thereof, all these to be used with prudence and thanksgiving. DNC 89-10-11. Fun fact, eating fruits and vegetables in season is not only better for you, but will save you money. And small amounts of protein, we were reminded that it's the protein group, not the meat group. Protein also comes from nuts and beans, yea, flesh also of beasts, and of the fowls of the air. I, the Lord, have ordained for the use of men with thanksgiving, nevertheless they are to be used sparingly. DNC 89-12. I was impressed at that young age that the leading nutritional scientists in the 1990s should come up with the same thing a young 1830s farm boy had supposedly come up with on his own. Last, the word of wisdom warns against drinking coffee and tea. Coffee has only been called into question by nutritionists and society in large within the last 10 years. There is a lot of dispute over whether it's good or bad for you, and the studies are inconclusive, but based on the evidence of the rest of the word of wisdom, I think I can take the counsel against coffee and tea on faith.
Well, I'm going to leave now. Goodbye, John. I'll pray for you.